Hi everyone and welcome to Hobby World. In this video it's all about this girl. In my last video I showed how I 3D printed this magnificent model. I assembled it and I cleaned it up and prepared it for painting. In this video I'm going to show how I'm going to paint up this model and make it look as real as possible. I've never tried painting a model of this size and with this level of details before. So this is a personal challenge for me and I'm really excited about getting started. So I hope you'll stay on the channel and follow the progress as I paint this model up. Well, it's about time we got started with this project, and if we take a look at this model we can see that I have already sprayed it in black on certain areas. All of these areas are the places that's going to be painted with chrome paint, and I'm going to use the airbrush with an ALCLAD II chrome paint. This creates a really magnificent finish with mirror effects and everything, and you can almost see your own reflection in the paint, so it looks almost like real metal. It looks so good. But to get a nice result you'll have to have this black tone, really glossy black below the chrome. I use a rattle can of Duplicolor All Season Black because I found out that this has a very nice glossy finish to it. And as it is right now I can almost see my own reflection in this black, and that's just the way it should be. But unfortunately, after applying 3 coats of this and dragging the model back inside, I saw that it had some minor flaws in the paint finish. It wasn't completely smooth everywhere. And when I apply the chrome paint to this, it won't look perfect. And I used so much time on this model that I decided I'm just going to sand it down once more to get the perfect finish. It might be a bit annoying. I might have to wait a couple of days for this second layer to dry. I'll have to use time on sanding it down once more. But then again, considering how long time I've used on this project already, it would be a shame not to finish it and get the perfect result. So I'm off to sanding this piece of model down once more and applying a layer again. And then I can start using the ALCLAD II chrome with the airbrush. I have used the last 10 days to get a perfect finish on all of these armor plates. First of all, I needed to prime it, wait for it to dry, then sand it down. After that, I needed to apply a gloss black spray paint, wait for it to dry, sand it down if I had any errors, apply a new coat of black, apply a third layer of black, sand it down if I still had any errors on the top, on the surface, and after that I need to apply several coats of gloss varnish to make it as shiny as possible. And the reason that it needs to be really shiny is because I'm going to airbrush the model with this stuff. It's called ALCLAD II chrome paint, and it works really well if we have a shiny surface where you can see your own reflection in the paint, and I can do that right now on all of these surfaces. So I'm going to start spray painting or airbrushing the model with this stuff right now. Before I start painting anything, I'm just going to show you the tools I'm going to work with today. Of course I have the model over here, and as you can see the surface on it is really shiny. You can see the reflection in here and it looks really incredible. So I'm so happy that I spent the extra time and used all of those days for waiting for this stuff to dry and then applied the second and third layer and so on. So that was really a good call doing that. Over here I have my airbrush, my compressor. This is just a cheap one I bought online, and the airbrush itself is also just a cheap airbrush I bought. I used the same airbrush for my Terminator project and it worked really well, so I of course hope that it will work with this model too. The paint, as I said before, is this stuff, ALCLAD II chrome paint. When airbrushing, I always use a face mask to prevent me from inhaling any of this paint or any of this stuff I use. So basically that's it. So now I'm just going to start spray painting the model or airbrushing the model, and I'm going to work on it in small sections where I am going to start with one of these small armor plates on the arm just to see if the paint behaves like I want it to, and if it works then I'm going to progress and do the shoulders and do the front part of the armor and then sorts and everything. So I'm just going to take it nice and easy. Well, that's basically it. Now I only need to turn on the compressor and get this model painted up. When working with the ALCLAD II paint, it's really important that you are extremely careful. You need to make sure that some of the black actually remain on the model. So the prime layer or the base layer needs to stay on the model, because it will look really flat if you apply too much of the chrome paint. So this is like I want it to look. This is where some of the black has been left down below of the surface, and the chrome is just topping it off and creating this metallic effect. So I'm really satisfied with how this turned out. When you have applied a layer of ALCLAD II chrome, you need to seal it off using a varnish, and I can't use a basic rattle can for this, as it will dull the result. So I'm always using this ALCLAD varnish here called Aqua Gloss Clear, and that works really well. It takes a small bit of the shine, but it's well worth it to protect the model. Well, the next step in this process is painting off the skin, and as you can see, this model has a lot of exposed skin, so it's going to be a major task just painting it. But I also need to paint highlights and shades and add small details and imperfections to the skin to make it look as real as possible. So it's going to be a real challenge, but I am looking so much forward to it. This is probably the part of the project that will be most important, because she is basically, as a pin-up model, defined by her skin. So it's a really important step in the project, and I'm looking very much forward to it. So let's get painting. Just let's get on with it. I want to paint this model. I have just applied lots and lots of layers to the skin, 3 layers to be exact, on the whole model, and as you can see, it's beginning to cover quite nicely right now. The paint is still a bit wet, so it will reflect a lot of color, and when the skin is finished, it will need to be matte. That's very important, that it doesn't cast any reflections, because that would just look weird. The metal, however, needs to cast reflections, and it still does. But I will have to say that watching the model like this right now, I would actually say that it looked a lot better when I had just chromed it all up, because then it looked sort of like a statue, and the chrome effect was really awesome. But I'm still hopeful that I'll get there. I am pretty sure that when I get the face painted and I have all the right colors up here on the hair and the face and a bit of makeup and the eyes are there, then this is going to look extremely great again. So this is just part of the process, and even though I don't think it looks very nice now compared to when it had all the chrome, it's I'm pretty sure that it's going to just pop when the skin is finished. Well, let's just take an overview here. I have finished painting all of the skin and a lot of the black parts of the model. I used a spray can for some of the black parts like the cape, but the paint has dried now. I left the model out here for several days because it's pretty cold in this room, so it took a long time for it to dry, and you can see that all of the paint is it's much more matte now. It was very gloss when I finished painting it because it was still wet. But now I need to add all of the details on the skin. I need to make it look real. Right now it's just basically a flat color. It looks okay, but it's just a flat color. So I need to fix that up, make it look as real as possible, and that's the challenge with this project, but also the most fun part of it all. So I've actually been looking forward to doing this. A lot of the work today has been a bit of trial and error, and therefore it took a lot longer than I expected. First of all, I wanted to paint off this skin of the model using a stippling method, where I used a small sponge like this and then simply stippled it. I don't know what it's called. I dabbed it on the model, and then I put a part of the paint on the model, leaving a nice shading or highlight. But it only worked with the darker colors. It was perfect with the dark colors because I managed to make these small parts of the skin that had some small flaws and errors, and that actually looked really well. But when I started highlighting the model, it went wrong. So instead I turned to the other side of the sponge and then added some paint to it, and then simply used it like this in circles on the model, and thereby blending the color into the existing part of the color, creating these very nice transitions between the light and the dark, and still allowing the imperfections I had added before by stippling to be seen through the paint. So that was actually quite nice, great technique, and I'm definitely going to use that for any large scale builds I'm going to make in the future. That worked really well. So these common sponges here for cleaning worked so nice for that. So stippling side and then using this to blend in the colors worked really well. Now this is beginning to look quite nice. I was actually very worried about this model right after I had applied all of the chrome. It just looked amazing. All of the chrome and metal made it look almost like a statue, and it looked so cool. But then I started painting off the skin, and I just added this base color that was pretty flat because it was just a single color, no highlights, no shadings and so on. And the model just looked, in my eyes, terrible. But now that I've added some of the highlights and shades on the skin, and I'm beginning to work on the hair, it's actually beginning to look very nice again. So I'm very hopeful that this will turn out as one of my greatest projects ever. When I'm working with a project, I often use Google as a guide or help, and I find all of these guides on how to do stuff. And painting eyes on a model like this that's so large is a bit different than painting eyes on a miniature. So I have found these pictures of painted eyes for painting, oil painting, and I think this one would be something close to what I want with this pin-up girl. So I'm going for this. I watched the guide on YouTube on how this was painted, and I hope that I can replicate the quality of this. This looks really good. This is without doubt one of the most difficult projects I've been working on. The Terminator project I did a while ago was very large, and it had a lot of problems I needed to solve. But this project was a bit different, because working with the Terminator I learned a lot about how to 3D print these large scale models, and I knew how to do that when printing this one. But this one was just so much more time consuming. It took a lot longer time to paint this model than I had expected. It was actually really difficult, especially the parts with all of this gold down here and all of the details, because I needed to sit in a very poor work position where I had my arms stretched out forward with a brush in it, and I needed to keep it steady without any support for the wrist. So it was really difficult painting this stuff, and it was just so time consuming, and it was just a real challenge. I enjoy a challenge, so that's okay. But it took a lot longer time than I had expected. But it turned out really great, and I also hope you all think that it turned out great. Just take a look at it. I'm very proud of this. The chrome just looks amazing when seen like this. It reflects the light. As you can see, it has this complete reflection when the camera's from over here, and as I turn it around it will get darker. It looks really great, and the skin on the body looks so cool. This is very nice. The belts and all of this leather down here looks like real leather, so I'm also very pleased with that. And the hilts of the swords got this red color, sort of like to match the hair. The eyes turned out great. I don't know if it's possible to see here, but I can't get it to focus. I personally think the eyes turned out great, and I decided against giving her makeup. I had considered giving her some makeup, a green sort of like around the eyes, but then I tried it and I didn't like the look of it. But I might return to that later if I get a great idea, or if I think of something that might end up making it look great. But I decided against it. And the hair, I also decided against highlighting it way too much, because I was considering highlighting it all the way up into almost a pink color. But I changed my mind on that, because I just thought this looked so natural. This looked really great. So I'm very pleased with this model. This is probably some of the best work I've done so far, and I really hope you all enjoyed the video and thought that this project was interesting to follow. So thank you for watching, and please consider subscribing to the channel. That would really mean a lot to me. I am so close to 1,000 subscriptions, so I just need a few more. So anyway, all of you, thank you so much for your support so far, and thank you for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed, and I am looking very much forward to bringing you more great content, 3D printed projects, hobby projects, all kind of interesting stuff. So thank you for watching, and have a great day everyone.